Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be comparing these two AT-RT walkers, one designed by Gubi0222 and the other designed by David Buchholz. In today's video, I'll be looking at the design, the accuracy of each walker, and its overall functionality. And I'll be comparing each walker in each of those categories to hopefully help in deciding which of these walkers is the better one to pick up. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So before we get into the design, I do actually want to start by talking about the price of each of these walkers and how much it costs to either get the instructions and then also buy the parts. And so Gubi's custom walker is actually free. The instructions are free, and you can get the parts list and the instructions on his Rebrickable for completely free, which is awesome. But David Buchholz's model is actually the one on BrickVault, which I'm sure you guys all know and are very familiar with. But on the BrickVault website, it actually costs $6 for David Buchholz's model, which isn't bad by any means, but it is, of course, going to be more than if you want to pick up Gubi's model or his instructions. And as far as buying pieces goes, Gubi's model is about half the price of David Buchholz's model. Of course, there's going to be different variations on, depending on what stores have them and where they are, but on average, I'd say Gubi's model costs about $10 to buy parts from, and on the BrickVault website, it says it costs about $20 to get David Buchholz's model. Of course, messing with settings, messing with parts and that sort of stuff, where you're getting them from, and messing with all the settings of Bricklink, those prices are going to be fluctuating. But on average, David Buchholz is definitely going to be the more expensive walker to buy. Not in just the instructions, but also in buying the pieces as well. So right off the bat, Gubi's model is looking like the much better option, the much cheaper option. But let's go ahead and take a look at the design and see if that still holds up. So I guess we'll go ahead and start off by looking at the legs. As you can see, both designers went for very different styles when designing these legs. Gubi went for more just joint and brick style, much more simpler, while David went for some Technic pieces. And obviously there's disadvantages and advantages to both of these designs. Gubi's is going to be a lot more flexible and nimble, able to move it into more realistic positions, while David's going to be a lot more sturdy and structural, a lot easier to kind of keep in this neutral position. I find that Gubi's model is very easy to kind of mess up because you got all these different joints that move, and so moving one joint that's slightly off-centered from the other one can lead the walker to falling over or not looking like it's standing straight up. So David is definitely the easier model to kind of display and kind of keep in this neutral position. But as far as moving in positions such as running or walking, Gubi's is definitely going to be the better option. You really don't get much movement with David's model, and that goes for both designs. There's different designs for legs. There's a more structural option, which is what this one is, but both of them don't get as much movement as Gubi's design over here. They're really sturdy. You really just get that foot movement and a little bit of movement up there, so not much movement in the legs. And as far as the design of them go, I'm not a huge fan of the Technic pieces. Some people may like that, some people may not, but I definitely prefer kind of the brick structure using all these Technic pieces, and especially these gear pieces as you move up here. I'm not a huge fan of. So I guess it's really up to your preference, but if you look at the AT-RT designs, in universe, they don't really have those kind of gear pieces, and I definitely feel like all this Technic doesn't look great in it doesn't do a great job recreating the AT-RT walker. So now I guess we'll go ahead and move up to the cockpit. And so obviously these are pretty similar designs. There is one kind of main difference that I would like to point out that is really my main concern with David's model, is this kind of armor plating that kind of extends up above like the trooper and the handlebars there. I feel that's kind of one of the main unique components of an AT-RT walker. That's kind of what it kind of makes it an AT-RT walker, that signature design of the armor in the front. Well, I feel like David's doesn't really do that very well. You see there's just a very small increase in height there at the very top. Doesn't really even cover the handlebars that well. So I definitely think that Gubi did a much better job in that aspect. And as far as the rest of the design goes, there are some smaller components that just are slight differences that aren't really a huge deal, such as the color of antenna, where Gubi's went for black, which I think is the more accurate color, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a huge deal. I do prefer the kind of internal structure and design in David's model over here. I like the use of that phone piece, and kind of shows that there's some mechanical parts in there, kind of like what you would assume would be in an AT-RT, while Gubi's just goes for a more brick-built one that just doesn't really show the insides quite as much. So definitely prefer that over on David's model over there. So I just kind of want to recap the main advantages and disadvantages of each walker, and just kind of go over and ultimately decide which walker I would recommend over the other. And so as far as Gubi's model goes, you're going to be getting a much better deal. You can get his walker for about $10 minus the shipping costs, while David is going to be costing about a minimum of around $25 to $30. So that's definitely a huge component, at least for me, and I'm assuming for a lot of you. if you're just trying to get a custom AT-RT, that is the price. So Gubi is definitely the better option as far as that goes. As far as the overall design and kind of, how well they were able to recreate the actual AT-RT walker, that's ultimately up to preference. There are different aspects of each walker that I prefer over the other. I do like the less Technic legs on Gubi's walker, as well as its extended armor up at the top. While on David's, I do like the internal kind of mechanical design to the walker. But overall, I think I definitely prefer Gubi's design. And as far as functionality goes, Gubi's is by far the better option. While its legs aren't quite so sturdy and are easily, changed and are hard to get placed in the right position, it also has a much higher number of realistic positions that you can put it in, such as, running or walking. While David, you're really limited to really this position. There's not much you can do besides this. You could probably move a leg forward or backwards a little bit, but you won't be able to get much more movement out of what is shown here. So overall, I do believe that Gubi's walker is a much better option than David's. Not saying David's is bad whatsoever. It's still an incredible design, but I definitely believe you're getting more bang for your buck if you go for Gubi's model and a lot more functionality out of it as well. But that's going to about wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I helped you guys out if you're deciding to buy a custom AT-RT of your own. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.